Many citizens, as well as various organizations representing and championing women's rights and welfare, have expressed concern about gender-based violence and the increasing cases of killings of female victims by male criminals motivated by primitive expressions of gender-based brutality and impunity. Left unaddressed, these incidents will cause the women of our nation to feel increasingly unsafe, even in their own homes. This is both tragic and unacceptable. It also complicates, in disturbing ways, the struggle by Kenyan women for inclusion, for equality, for dignity, social justice, their rights, their protection, a section of our society that has been marginalized for a long time. I am aware that most of these cases of murder of women by men have been investigated and prosecuted. It is my hope that in due course, those found culpable will face the full force of the law. Members, it is time for each of us, political leaders, public officers, religious leaders, traditional institutions, and family members, to do our part in raising boys into morally upright men who will never need to affirm their masculinity at the expense of women, but instead contribute to making our society just, safe, equal, and inclusive. I appreciate women leaders who have taken time to engage me and propose solutions to address this issue. I have held discussions with other leaders in government, and I have tasked the Deputy President to reach out and facilitate collaborative, broad-based, and multi-sectoral deliberations and recommend effective and radically transformative and affirmative action within the next 6 months. This Parliament will recall that early in my tenure, I engaged the leadership of both houses with recommendations on a working formula to actualize meaningful inclusion of women in national leadership. We must seriously question the drivers and the motives of resistance and reluctance to take the next step in actualizing the 2/3 gender rule. We must call out those who continue to sabotage this right of women to contribute to the governance of our nation. Women are not second-class citizens. They deserve equal representation at all levels. Honorable members, without a doubt, honorable members, without a doubt, every shilling of our national revenue matters and must be used to deliver maximum value to Kenyans. Wastage, corruption, and the abuse of office are grave risks to national transformation and a direct threat to the well-being of the people. I have given my full commitment to serve as a responsible steward of public resources. To begin with,
the housing levy law that came into effect had actually increased the payroll of county governments by 4 billion shillings. And this is an actual figure, 4.05 billion shillings. Two, there was an agreement on county health promoters, they're called CHPs, which was a matching expenditure for about 100,000 CHPs across the country. These had an impact on county payrolls of 3.23 billion shillings. Then there was the band movements, what we call the annual wage increases in IPPD, which are largely automatic, even before SRC pronounces itself on any salary increments. And this for all the counties was in the region of 6.295 billion. Adding those figures, only those three items that I mentioned, even before you go to the county industrial and aggregation industrial parks and other arrangements that we had, just those three, housing levy, CHPs, and the annual band increases in our payroll, we're talking of 13.5 billion shillings for the 47 counties. So this is something that going forward has to be clarified in law. Can DORA really be amended? Two, can it only be amended downwards, or can it also be amended upwards? If the division of revenue is dependent on the passing of the finance bill at national level, should we then have a requirement to first pass the finance bill at national level before we go through a very protracted process of negotiating division of revenue? So we can't really comply with the SRC circular asking us to increase salaries of workers. We'll also struggle to meet our end of the bargain to the doctors, because for the doctors the agreement was that national government covers the arrears, right, of the CBA, the impact of the CBA, which was not complied with. And then it was assumed that the new division of revenue will give counties additional money to meet the CBA requirements going forward. So it's going to be nearly impossible to comply with that as well, frankly. The amendment of DORA after it has been assented to. Of course, we know how we got here, which is the issue of the finance bill that didn't go through. But it had never occurred before since the promulgation of this new constitutional dispensation, and since the counties were established in 2013, we have never really had to go back on DORA. And it's something that was never anticipated in law, in my view. And we feel that this is a loophole that can be abused going forward. The housing levy law that came into effect had actually increased the payroll of county governments by 4 billion shillings. And this is an actual figure, 4.05 billion shillings. Two, there was an agreement on county health promoters, they're called CHPs, which was a matching expenditure for about 100,000 CHPs across the country. These had an impact on county payrolls of 3.23 billion shillings. Then there was the band movements, what we call the annual wage increases in IPPD, which are largely automatic, even before SRC pronounces itself on any salary increments. And this for all the counties was in the region of 6.295 billion. Adding those figures, only those three items that I mentioned, even before you go to the county industrial and aggregation industrial parks and other arrangements that we had, just those three, housing levy, CHPs, and the annual band increases in our payroll, we're talking of 13.5 billion shillings for the 47 counties.